Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and take a look at this clip right here. This clip is coming in from TP, and isn't Call of Duty just flawless? Isn't it so much fun to play? Isn't it wonderful? Clips like this are being posted all over the internet as of late, and the funniest part is it's nothing new. It's gotten to the point where we're all just so conditioned to expect mediocrity from this franchise. It's not even surprising anymore when we see stuff like this, when we see Warzone not working whatsoever, when we see massive blinding lights in the sky like we had back in Vanguard. Apparently that bug is back, or even when our weapons are just completely disappearing in zombies and being replaced with random guns. Like, this is the current state of the Call of Duty franchise, and what is Activision doing about it? Well, not nothing. I'm sure many of you thought I was going to say nothing. What they're doing is they're doubling down. I have to admit, they have some massive balls to continue down this path of self-destruction, because instead of acknowledging the problems with the game and working on them, instead they are doubling down on their plan to just band-aid everything with a nostalgia rush. So we all know that Verdansk is going to be coming back to Warzone in Season 3. That's Activision's big plan to save the dying player count, but it sounds like they aren't going to be stopping there. Leaks and rumors are surfacing that with Verdansk returning, they are going to forego the entire Black Ops 6 vibe and instead shoehorn in even more Warzone-era stuff to really try to trick players into signing into the game. This means they're going to be bringing back guns like the HDR sniper rifle, the Grau, the Kilo, the AMAX, regardless of whether or not they fit within the narrative of Black Ops 6, they're bringing back all of these classic Warzone guns with Season 3 and likely making them stronger than the current weapons, with the hope that people will just be happy with that. But it won't work, guys. It will not work. Mark my words. Clip this video if you guys need. This will only be a band-aid, and it's going to be a wet band-aid at that. It's like the old saying, you can polish a turd, but it will always be a turd, and that's exactly what the current state of Warzone is, and the current state of the Call of Duty franchise is. It doesn't matter if people can play on Verdansk again if they can't even get into a vehicle without the game breaking. It doesn't matter if you can drop in a broadcast once again if you can't revive your teammate because the game bugged out and won't let you, and it doesn't matter if they bring back the Grau or the AMAX or the HDR if the person you're shooting at has God mode and walls you from halfway across the map. Like, do you guys see what I'm saying here? It's the same situation with multiplayer, man. Like, they bring back Grind, and Grind is an incredible map. It might even be a top 5 map of all time in my own personal opinion, but it hasn't done anything to bring back players. If the game is fundamentally broken, no amount of content is going to fix that, and what's worse is the quote-unquote content they are adding to the game isn't even original, because anytime they try something original, it seems to flop entirely, or at least over the course of the past couple of years. I will say we've had some exceptions, like the DLC maps we had in Modern Warfare 3 were fantastic. In fact, a lot of the things Sledgehammer Games did last year were pretty good, but overall, over the course of the past couple of years, when they try something new or they add something new to the game, it just hasn't been working whatsoever. And in yesterday's video, we covered the interview that Tom Henderson did with a guy named Charlie Olson, who was the man who essentially wrote the code and designed the MMR system for skill-based matchmaking here within the Call of Duty franchise. Well, it turns out we're going to be hearing more from him soon, as Tom has announced that Charlie will be joining their podcast in a couple of weeks. And of course, once that happens, I will do a video and keep you posted about what we learn. But going back to yesterday's interview, Charlie said that without skill-based matchmaking, Call of Duty would lose over half their player base. Well, I, of course, made fun of that extensively, considering we've lost far more than 50% of the player base over the course of the past couple of months. But then Sorbazes, I think is how you pronounce it, offered a very different viewpoint in the comment section of my video, and I think what he said was very interesting. Here we read, him saying half the players would quit without engagement optimized matchmaking could be interpreted as an admission that they no longer have the talent capable of delivering the quality of experience that players have come to expect, and they need to rely on manipulative bullshit. That ties into what I was just talking about. You know, they keep bringing back all these older things because they can't create anything new, anything original. They don't have the talent to do any of that anymore, and it does tie into the absolute train wreck that was the Black Ops 6 beta and the Black Ops 6 launch. During the beta, weapon balance was pretty much the worst we have ever seen in the COD franchise, at least in recent memory, and during the launch of the game, the map design was quite possibly the worst that we have ever seen in the Call of Duty franchise. There might be a few exceptions. I think I could argue that Modern Warfare 2019's maps were worse, but overall, the launch maps for Black Ops 6 were atrocious. They were basically all just glorified nuke towns, and I've said it, Blame Truth has said it, and everybody has said it. If the maps in the game suck, then the game sucks. Period. Plain and simple. Like, the matchmaking affects everything because it manipulates how the match is going to play out before it even starts. But if the maps on top of that aren't even good, then what are we left with, man? Like, everything in Call of Duty happens on the map. Things like weapon balance are irrelevant, or score streaks, or perk balance. All that is completely irrelevant if the space in which you are playing the game is not up to snuff. And there's been this weird shift in philosophy in the Call of Duty franchise, especially in recent years, where they went from making banger games with banger maps and awesome player progression and so many amazing things for fans to do, to instead trying to manipulate their fans into thinking they're having fun instead of creating scenarios where those fans can organically have fun. I think that is one of the biggest problems with the Call of Duty franchise as a whole. It's not because like the game is fun anymore, it's them trying to put out a very subpar product and then trick and twist and manipulate the player base into thinking they're having fun on the very mediocre game with the mediocre maps. And let's just go ahead and use Black Ops 2 as a counter to that, right? So we all know the rumors that COD 2025 is going to be a sequel to Black Ops 2, which is yet another way for them to try to cash in on nostalgia instead of, you know, creating something original and good. But look at the Black Ops 2 launch maps. Regardless of your personal opinion of each one of these maps, let's look at how many of these have been remastered over time because they were so good. Of the 14 original maps that launched with Black Ops 2, 5 of them have been remastered countless times to the point where they've been featured in pretty much every Black Ops game since, and it could be argued that even more of these maps should have received the same treatment. I think that maps like Plaza and Meltdown were awesome. Even Yemen and Cargo had their moments. Like, Black Ops 2 had fantastic maps, and that was a big part of why it was a good game. There was no manipulative matchmaking bullshit. There were incredibly fun and varied maps to play on. The weapon balance was at times not amazing, but overall lots of really interesting weapons. The score streaks were insanely powerful. Like, Black Ops 2 was awesome, and back then, that's all it took for Call of Duty to be successful. All they had to do was put out a good game with good maps and fun things for people to do so players could make their own fun. But somewhere along the way, they seem to have lost the ability to make good maps, and they lost the ability to make organically engaging games. So instead, they created an entire algorithm to gaslight the player base into thinking they're having fun, and then they just sit back and they watch the record profits come in from the $30 battle passes and the $35 shop bundles and the Ninja Turtles and this, that, and the other thing, you know? It's not even about game sales anymore. It's not about putting out a good product that people are going to buy. It's all about getting people into the game as easily as possible and letting them into the shop. So for all intents and purposes, Call of Duty's pretty much just monetized like a free-to-play game, except, you know, they keep charging that $70 price tag each and every year. And I suppose the one saving grace to all of this is at least it seems like people have wisened up. Like, Black Ops 6 seems to have been the straw that broke the camel's back, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like this was the year that the Call of Duty player base got fed up with Activision's bullshit. The cracks in the wall just keep getting bigger, and I won't lie, it's been pretty great seeing everyone calling Activision on their bullshit this time around, rather than just a select few number of content creators. Now, while the future of the Call of Duty franchise is definitely up in the air, one thing is for certain, ladies and gentlemen, and that is I will be here with you guys every step of the way as we continue to navigate the muddy-ass waters that is this franchise anymore. So I want to thank you all so much for your continued support of my channel and for listening to this video here today. Leave your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments. Thank you all so much for listening, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.